But what we're getting out of China right now, it looks like they're going to release some sort of specs or what the look of the new refresh Model 3 looks like. And that's kind of exciting because they need to refresh the product. The Chinese is just as beloved with Tesla as they've always been. So that's great news for Tesla.
Ross, what's with this Tesla Ford combo? How come Elon doesn't want to get dirty and keep them out of his charging stations?
In this video, rumours swirl that Tesla will soon unveil an updated Model 3. Apparently, Elon Musk having opinions and sharing them hasn't completely destroyed Tesla's brand, at least in China, which is a tiny market that no one cares about anyway, right? Spoiler alert, it represents over 1/3 of Tesla sales. And tongues continue to wag about Tesla and Ford announcing their supercharging partnership, and some discussion around the broader implications for the wider automotive industry. And if you guys would like more content, check the links in the pinned comment. I just posted a Patreon exclusive video exposing the scam that is ESG, plus a Twitter subscriber only video, an internal document that Toyota has been sending to car dealerships to spread lies, misinformation, fear, uncertainty and doubt about electric vehicles. Is it just me, or is anyone else looking forward to Toyota dying by their own hand? So check the links in the pinned comment. Let's get into it.
What do you think investors should be watching here as Elon finishes his trip up in China, Ross?
Well, firstly, it seems to be a very successful trip just right off the bat, and even on a larger scale, really changing the tone of U.S.-China relations when you see the opportunity and the positive vibes that can be made by working together with China versus, treating them like an adversary. And so, I think it was really positive for America in a lot of ways because they respect Elon so much in China and he's been so successful in China. But what we're getting out of China right now, it looks like they're going to release some sort of specs or what the look of the new refresh Model 3 looks like. And that's kind of exciting because they need to refresh the product.
Does this stack up? Is a new Model 3 around the corner? We've seen rumors, we've seen leaks, we've heard lots of discussion and maybe this, that and the other. Well, as of a few hours ago, Tesla is now offering up to a $3,020 discount off new Model 3 inventory in the United States. So, what are the odds? Model 3 refresh around the corner? Let me know in the comments below. What do you guys think?
And it just seems like the Chinese is just as beloved with Tesla as they've always been. So that's great news for Tesla.
Must be my cannabis-induced memory loss. But isn't this the same guy that was tweeting really loudly that Elon Musk sharing his opinions was hurting Tesla's brand, turning away customers, harming the company and killing the stock price? I must have imagined that because Ross just said that Tesla in China, outside the bubble that Ross exists in California, in China, people love Tesla just as much as ever. Obviously hallucinated that. I mean, that's what happens when you consume copious amounts of cannabis. Don't do drugs, kids.
What does that mean in terms of deliveries relative to the Chinese companies? The last batch of deliveries we got from some of the China automakers seemed a little soft.
Yeah, I don't think you can extrapolate out from the Chinese automakers what's happening with Tesla because they all have very unique and individual problems and challenges that are different than Tesla's. But what we're seeing from China data is, they're having a very strong quarter in China. The price cuts have certainly worked in getting more consumers to buy the vehicles in China. And we expect the biggest issue across the globe is actually the slower global economy led by the Fed's outrageous, policy decisions to basically put the global economy into a recession. So that's the biggest issue with China and the United States is really the economy.
Okay. As Tesla trades at $200, it looks fairly uneventful on the chart relative to some of the other stuff in this AI craze that's gone ballistic. I thought that Tesla was one of the main AI plays. We're hearing all this stuff about ChatGPT. Okay, maybe I'll get a new Bing or whatever. Maybe there's going to be some product, but there's literally cars that are driving themselves. How come Tesla's been so sleepy the last couple of weeks? I mean, I know it's rallied a little bit, but...
Well, yeah, it's up 20%, in the last couple of weeks since the shareholder meeting. But remember, Tesla is not a cheap stock. It trades at the same forward PE as NVIDIA today. So NVIDIA really actually just caught up to Tesla when you look at forward PE because NVIDIA had this massive increase in earnings estimates for next year to over $7. So when you actually look at the fact that Tesla's earnings are going down this year compared to NVIDIA's, which are actually going down a little bit this year, but really jumping next year, where Tesla's earnings are also supposed to jump next year, but to a much lower level. So, I think that both companies are valued the same if you look at their forward PEs, and they're some of the most expensive stocks in the tech market and in the stock market. So I don't think that Tesla is not being appreciated for full self-driving at all. It's worth like $700 or $800 billion, this company.
All right.
So I see where Ross is coming from in terms of Tesla's valuation on a forward PE basis being among the more expensive stocks. Although I see where Ross is coming from, I don't think Ross sees where Tesla is going to. Because it's not about what's Tesla's forward PE compared to, say, a company like Nvidia. It's about how much money will these companies print in the future. Now, I could be wrong, but I don't think Ross is really acknowledging the potential value that Tesla's autonomy will bring to the company. Sure, you can argue there's a little bit of maybe Tesla solves autonomy in Tesla's current market cap, but I can justify this valuation based on pure automotive sales. Nothing else. No energy, no software. That includes FSD, no robotaxis, none of that stuff. Just on the car business. More to the point, I think, let's say 3-4 years from now, I would be pretty embarrassed to have been on the record saying that Tesla was a fairly expensive stock in mid-2023. Of course, I could be wrong. Maybe Tesla doesn't solve autonomy. But should they? I would be scrubbing this video from the internet if I was Ross. I've noticed a bit of an anomaly in the thinking about many of the well-versed, experienced investors who can walk their way through an earnings report no problems but seem to miss things that others don't. Many expert investors would rather wait until something has occurred before they really factor in the potential financial ramifications. The problem is, once it becomes obvious to literally everyone that the thing that could have occurred has occurred, it's kind of too late. I'm personally of the belief that investing is about seeing opportunities that others are missing. Case in point, calling Tesla stock expensive in mid-2023 seems to suggest the missing of some extremely large opportunities. Time will tell. Personally, I think Tesla stock is one of the cheapest in terms of risk-reward stocks in the entire market, at least that I'm aware of. Ross obviously disagrees. Let's check back in a few years' time.
Yeah, fair enough. I guess valuations still...
it's just we already knew that. We already know that Tesla's the leader in AI. And actually, we already knew NVIDIA was the leader in AI.
That's what I thought.
Right. But I mean, that's actually our number 2 position. So, boy, it's been a good month for our shareholders. My God. I thank you, AI. But that said, NVIDIA has been a great company we've owned it for over a decade, So the fact that they're also the leader in crypto chips and gaming chips, right, and autonomy chips, NVIDIA is in a phenomenal position, just like Tesla is, to profit off all these new technologies in the future.
Here's a fun little thought exercise. And by the way, I'm bullish on NVIDIA and AI overall. But here's a question to ask. Which company theoretically would be better positioned to print insane amounts of money in the future? The company that's making chips that are training AI, or the companies putting that real-world AI out into the marketplace and generating hundreds of billions, potentially trillions of dollars in annual profits over the next decade or so? I don't know the answer to that either. If you're a little bit uncertain, maybe an analogy, something sort of similar. Which companies today, on average, have gained the most market capitalization? The companies that make computers that can access powerful tools made by companies like Google, Amazon, and Facebook, or the actual companies, Google, Amazon, and Facebook, doing the whole software on the hardware someone else is selling? Something to think about.
Okay, maybe Tesla's share price already had some of that baked into it. Now we all make the realization of NVIDIA, but it seemed like that was been pretty well telegraphed too. Ross, what's with this Tesla Ford combo? How come Elon doesn't want to get dirty and keep them out of his charging stations?
Well, the purpose of Tesla was to advance sustainable transportation. And so when you think about the Tesla charging business, Tesla charging is the best, charging experience that anybody could want with the EV business.
The dude's right. Tesla's mission isn't to f*** the so-called competition. It's to accelerate the world's transition to sustainable energy, which includes transport. Tesla opening up access to the supercharging network to other automotive companies will help those companies survive a little bit longer. This is good for Tesla's mission. Of course, Tesla aren't brain dead. They're obviously going to make a little bit of money to make this worth their while. But this really is a mission-focused decision. Tesla's strategy for winning isn't to destroy the competition. It's just to be so good that the competition can't compete. This is a real key distinction. I do not think you would find, if there was any other company on the planet making electric vehicles at scale who'd built out their own compelling charging network, that would do the same thing if they were in Tesla's shoes. Nor any other company would open source their patents all the way back in 2014. That's also something Tesla did that was mission aligned. It's almost as if Tesla cares more about the mission than anything else, as opposed to most other companies who have a mission that's a load of horseshit corporate wankery that they don't actually believe in and really just cares about the bottom line. But make no mistake, the way Tesla achieves their mission is by printing insane amounts of money. Tesla isn't a charity. Don't get me wrong, they'll make money on this deal. Tesla's just trying to help everyone on Earth, not just themselves.
And Tesla's changed the model from building, like 10 to 20 superchargers in a location to the new location in Santa Monica has 150 superchargers, and there's always one open if you need it. And so Tesla's thinking about massive scale of their charging business, and they want to have customers, as many customers as possible. Like, it would make sense for them for the infrastructure investment, plus opening the charger network allows them to get subsidies from the US government. But this is a bigger thing because it's a benefit to Ford. But remember, Ford owners have to pay to use this supercharger network, and they pay a premium over Tesla owners to use the supercharger network, and therefore it's much more profitable for Tesla to have outside users of the supercharging system than just Tesla owners. But I think for Tesla owners, we have to accept that the supercharging system isn't a walled garden like Apple, and it's really an open system for EV companies. And the more companies that adapt the Tesla standard, the better for the EV community and the growth of the industry as a whole.
All right.
Ross has nailed it. The Tesla Ford Supercharging partnership announcement is a big deal, and it really does have tongues wagging. Here's some more discussion in the finance media.
Well, some called it a game changer or at least a big step forward. Last week, Tesla and Ford announced that Ford's electric vehicles would be granted access to the approximately 12,000 Tesla Supercharger stations in North America. Now, that surprise deal is expected to go ahead in the spring of next year and makes Ford the first automaker to become an explicit part of the EV leaders network. Now, the announcement comes as the US tries to scale up its electrification efforts. The Biden administration has earmarked billions in funding for the sector. So the EV market is changing rapidly. But what can we expect to see? And what will those changes do to the economy and the companies at the forefront? We're joined by Plug-in American Executive Director Joel Levin and GreenBiz Group Director of Transportation Vartan Badalian as well to discuss. Thank you both for joining us. Joel, I want to start with you here. In terms of this announcement, what struck you about the fact that you have this legacy car maker now teaming up with Tesla here on the superchargers?
Yeah, it's a really big deal. We were really excited to see it. I mean, one of the big challenges that people have is that the public charging network is not as reliable as it could be.
Can we just be honest here for a moment? It sucks fucking shit. It's not a little bit lacking. No, it sucks fucking shit. Jump online, search for Electrify America, charging experience. Look at what happens when people try to charge at Electrify my asshole. Seriously, there's issues syncing phones, making payments, getting a charge, the charge actually continuing. You plug it in, it says it's working, then 3 seconds later it's no longer charging. Charging speeds suck. It is a burning dumpster fire.
In the US, a lot of people complain about broken chargers or chargers being busy or hard to find them. And the Tesla network really gets high marks that users really love it. That's what we've seen. And so in Europe, Tesla has opened up their network to other car makes, but not in the US. So for them to do that with Ford here is a really big deal. Tesla has a really significant advantage in terms of people who like to travel long distances and go on road trips because their network is so widely regarded. And so now Ford, by gaining access to that, that's really a positive thing for people that are looking for cars to go on a road trip. I think it's really a big plus for Ford.
And Vartan, I mean, if you're a non-Tesla or a non-Ford owner and you're looking at this and looking at some of perhaps your public charging options and the reliability issues there, what should you think about this?
Yeah, it's a very valid question. I think there's two groups of kind of changes that are going to start happening. You have the OEMs that are quickly, I think, going to start catching on to what Ford did because the CCS market, as Joel mentioned, is struggling with reliability concerns. So I would be wanting to suspect that in the coming years, we will see more OEMs kind of catch on and deploy what Tesla's port connector is for their vehicles as well, largely given the reliability benefits of their network.
Totally agree. Automotive manufacturers with any sense, which may not be that many, will no doubt begin producing vehicles using Tesla's charging standard, as in Tesla plugs by default. And as I said recently, if they have any sense, these companies will also announce partnerships to gain access to Tesla's supercharging network. The sooner you start hearing these announcements, the longer those companies are likely to survive. The longer it takes for companies to announce they're going to be adopting Tesla's charging standard and gaining access to their supercharging network, the sooner they'll be out of business.
On the other hand, if you're a consumer kind of purchasing vehicles and looking at the market of EVs that exist, there are a lot of great EVs that are on the market right now. But then the number one reason why I think consumers now pick Tesla over other car makes is because of the supercharger network. So it's something that the industry has finally caught on to, and we will see some transformational change come about from it.
And Joel, what sort of changes are you expecting here? I mean, when you have Tesla, we saw the recent report there showing that it's, in terms of global sales, the Model Y at the top of the list, they're beating out Toyota in terms there. So then, but when you look at the infrastructure and you want that to catch up, I mean, keeping in mind a lot of those numbers were China focused, but where does that leave the US in terms of the companies that are at the forefront of really stepping up the electric charger stations?
Right. Well, I mean, I would put it in perspective. Keep in mind that charging an EV is not the same as buying gasoline. So the majority of people get most of their fuel at home. So people generally charge at home or at work. The vast majority of all charging, people do overnight while they're sleeping. And so with an EV, you wake up every morning generally, and it's like having a full tank of gas.
This is a very important point, and one that a lot of consumers who've yet to purchase an EV are completely oblivious to. The number of times a typical electric vehicle owner will actually need to charge at a supercharging station or equivalent versus having charged overnight at home is very, very infrequent. A couple of road trips here and there, maybe if you have a really busy day, sure, but otherwise, not going to need to. Think about this. How often do you, let's say, drive over 300 miles in a single day and not end up back at home where you could charge? Exactly. It's not that often. It's a hell of a lot more convenient owning an electric vehicle and having it filled up with gasoline, so to speak, overnight, every night, and occasionally needing to stop by a supercharger on a long road trip. A lot of consumers today still have this perception. It will change, of course. They need to go to a charging station to charge up their electric vehicle instead of being able to do it at home passively while they're asleep.
So the charging network, it's not quite as critical as the network of gas stations in that you don't, you're not using it every day. For most people, you're using it on road trips. And then, of course, Tesla is still half the market in the U.S. So for the Tesla drivers, this doesn't change anything. And so it's not that dramatic of a hindrance. And I think that the public EV networks are focused on trying to solve this problem. The federal NEVI program that's going to create a national charging network across the country along large highways is very focused on trying to improve the driver experience, improve reliability, and improve the way that people pay. And so I think this is a problem that's going to kind of go away over time as the federal charging network rolls out, because they've created very high standards for it.
And Martin, what do you think is going to be the next inflection point, the next catalyst that really gets more EV adoption up to speed here?
Largely the point we've been talking about. I think it is going to be a unanimous consensus that EV charging is more reliable than it currently is right now.
I'm going to disagree here. I think the main catalyst for more EVs being sold is more EVs being produced. And in addition, the costs coming down. Although even if costs didn't come down, if there were more electric vehicles being made today, more people would buy them. Now, how could I possibly make such an obnoxiously arrogant claim without any evidence? We do have maybe 15 years of evidence of more electric vehicles being produced and more being sold, and at the same time costs trending lower over time. A decade and a half of pretty consistent data seems to suggest that if more electric vehicles are produced and costs continue to come down, even more will be sold. Now, if you guys missed my recent video on why the car market is about to implode, check it out, just search on YouTube, you'll find it. There are a lot of people who still today seem to be under the strange impression that this disruption is not yet inevitable, it's not a commercial inevitability, it's not yet prime time, and there's a level of uncertainty as to whether or not the entire automotive market within a decade, give or take, will be fully electric. I personally believe these people have an aversion to reality or just don't have the cognitive faculties to understand what's going to happen. Nothing new needs to occur for continued EV adoption. Things just need to continue along. Production scaling, costs coming down, more EVs sold, the end. They're ready for prime time now. They're at price parity, at least Tesla's vehicles are. Make the EVs and they will sell. Caveat, of course, make cost competitive electric vehicles. Cost competitive with ICE vehicles and they will sell. Not all companies are able to do that at this point in time, but Tesla sure is.
Joel's points are very accurate. A lot of the charging experience happens at home or at work and is not typically on the fast charger in the public setting. But when you have more and more stories coming out increasingly in the American culture of going on road trips, people want that convenience of a fast charge quickly and, of course, reliably, given they've purchased a $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 vehicle. So I think once we start seeing more reliable chargers, both in the public network, that kind of grows as the federal push kind of pushes that forward, we will start seeing this next wave of adopters. Because right now, up until this point, we've had we're approaching actually around 10% EV adoption for new car sales in the U.S., much more in California, and somewhat similar around Europe and elsewhere. And that's largely been early adopters. But now we're moving into the non-early adopter phase. And I think the charger reliability story is going to be where we transition to a greater bulk of consumers.
And Joel, so then in terms of dealerships, the availability of some of these EVs, how affordable they are, and even whether they're at good value at the moment when you try and look at the pricing, what are your options for that, for people who are perhaps saying, is it worth the investment up front, being that it is higher in a lot of cases than your traditional, petrol-powered car?
Right. Weirdly enough, it's not. It seems like it is. What's really important, so a couple of questions. Let me unpack that. First of all, in terms of supply, about 6 months ago, towards the end of last year, there was really kind of very limited supply of EVs available in dealerships. It's gotten significantly better since then. So it's easier to find available cars right now. In terms of the value, what I'd say is what's important is to look at not the upfront cost of the car, but look at the total cost of ownership. Because with EVs, the price of fueling is so dramatically cheaper, particularly if you're buying your electricity at home. It's typically somewhere in the range of probably $1 to $2 a gallon gasoline equivalent, but it's a lot cheaper than gasoline. And then maintenance is also much lower.
Wonderful to hear somebody talking about electric vehicles who's well informed. Now, the truth is a lot of consumers today don't know that the cost of ownership for an electric vehicle over its lifetime is significantly lower than an internal combustion engine vehicle. Most consumers don't do their homework. Not judging, it's just a fact. Typically, consumers make their purchasing decisions after being badgered and manipulated by companies, propagandizing them through advertising. It's embarrassing, but it's the way the world works. However, the most important milestone was price parity at the purchase, the point of purchase, and Tesla's now at that mark. Model Y is now cheaper than the average new vehicle in the United States. Not everyone knows this yet, but word spreads. The cost of the Model Y will continue to trend lower over time, so even consumers who don't do their homework, which is almost all of them, once they see the sticker price is much cheaper, even if they're oblivious to the fact that the total cost of ownership is already substantially lower over the lifetime, they're just looking at the sticker price. Oh, the EV's cheaper. I'd have to be an actual moron to buy an ICE vehicle. I'm not going to.
Consumer Reports did a study and they showed that over the lifetime of the car, maintenance is about half the price of a gasoline car because there's no oil, there's no spark plugs, there's very few belts and things to change. So EVs just have much lower maintenance. So when you're looking at the price of an EV, don't just look at the upfront price. Look at the monthly cost of owning it compared to a gas car. And if you're looking apples to apples at equivalent EV to a gas car, don't compare a Tesla to an inexpensive gas car. Compare two similar cars, and you'll see that EVs are not actually more expensive overall in terms of the cost of ownership. So they're a great deal. Used EVs in particular, I think are a really attractive deal. People tend to shy away from them because there's a fear that they're going to have problems with the batteries. But in fact, the batteries are pretty reliable. We get this question all the time. What's it going to cost me when I have to change the battery in my EV? Well, people don't. I mean, unless there's a defect in your battery, in which case it's probably covered by the warranty, people very rarely change the battery. It'll probably last as long as the rest of the car. It's like, how often do you change the engine in your car? Well, not very much.
Certainly important context there when you're looking at that initial price tag versus sort of the length over the course of the car. A great discussion. Thank you both for joining us.
So, credible rumours that a Model 3 refresh is around the corner. That's putting it lightly. It seems all but inevitable at this point in time. Elon Musk is in China for absolutely no reason. Nothing to see here. There won't be a new factory announced or capacity expansion or announcement that they'll be producing a refreshed Model 3 out of Shanghai first. P.S. Somehow Elon Musk having and sharing opinions hasn't destroyed Tesla's brand, especially in China. Who'd have thought? Turns out the world's bigger than California. And tongues continue to wag about the Tesla Ford partnership, a sign of things to come. Let me know in the comments below, who will be the next US automotive manufacturer to announce that they'll be using Tesla's charging standards, aka Tesla plugs, on their electric vehicles in the future, and also have negotiated access to Tesla's supercharging network. Rarely a dull moment. Athletic Greens AG1 has given me a massive, meaningful boost in energy, allowing me to do a lot more every day, including using my brain more and using my body more. I highly recommend you guys and girls check it out. Athletic Greens AG1 is an excellent way to fill in nutritional gaps. It's got 75 high-quality vitamins, minerals, and whole food source nutrients, plus prebiotics and probiotics and digestive enzymes and adaptogens to help you deal with stress. Plus, if you click the link in the pinned comment or head to athleticgreens.com/SMR, you can get yourself a 1-year free supply of vitamin D3 and K2. But don't take my word for it. Here's what some of you guys and girls have to say. AG1 has changed my life. I was, as you described, treating myself like a circus, ate like trash, rarely exercised, used alcohol as a stress crutch, cannabis also. AG1 is what gave me the kick in the ass, got me back to the gym, motivated me to do more for myself, family, my business, etc. Keep doing what you do. Now, I know there's some skeptics, the same kind of people who think Elon Musk is a fraud, reading this going, what do you thought? There's no way that's possible, bro. It must be a placebo effect. Believe it or not, this is a recurring theme. If you give your body everything it needs to feel and perform its best, including having a lot more energy, you'll need ways to use that energy. For me personally, that includes more exercise, moving my body more social activity, and more cognitively demanding tasks, including producing a ton of exclusive content over on Twitter and on Patreon, plus my daily YouTube uploads. The proof's in the pudding. On to another testimonial from a viewer of this channel. SMR, you asked me to provide feedback on AG1. Here it is. It has helped with mental acuity, stamina, and intestinal waste management. Can't read between the lines. Certainly helps with regularity and digestion. That's what the digestive enzymes are for. It has also dramatically reduced my cravings for sugar. You guys need to stop eating sugar. It's fucking poison. I'm 50, 5'9", and overweight, aka a fat motherfucker. I think that's a technical term for overweight, isn't it? Is it fat motherfucker or obese? I can't remember. I average 100 hours a week in the West Texas oil fields as a safety supervisor. Jesus Christ, dude. No wonder you're struggling to keep your weight under control. 100 hours a week. Brutal. It has helped me lose weight. It is not an appetite suppressant. It can help fat people suppress cravings, and motivation to be healthier is critical for changing your diet. Love you, brother. Again, this is a great point. It's something people really don't seem to grasp. If you have more energy, everything becomes easier. It's like turning on easy mode for life. A few years ago, before I was taking AG1, my health was trash. I was struggling to get through the day, had afternoon fatigue. The last thing I wanted to do was either use my brain or move my body. Didn't have the energy. Now, my biggest struggle every day is figuring out ways to use that energy. I'm exercising way more, doing a lot more with my friends and family, and of course, my work output has increased substantially. And you can fact check me. Check out the average length of my videos I was posting to YouTube 3 years ago. Need I say more? And one final testimonial. Love this one. Okay, here's the deal for me with this AG1 shit. I'm 41 years old and not the type to eat, drink, smoke, or sleep healthy, so I was skeptical. That being said, here's what I experienced. Day 1, meh. Day 2, afternoon fatigue was about 45 minutes late. Day 3, 0 afternoon fatigue. Day 4, 0 afternoon fatigue plus extra energy. Day 5, again, 0 afternoon fatigue plus energy, wondering, what the fuck, really? See, this is the thing, right? The results for many people are just almost too good to be true. This is the same experience I had. My afternoon fatigue just vanished out of nowhere. I'm like, wait, what the fuck? Why am I not tired in the afternoons anymore? Surely, it's not that AG1 is it? Turns out it was. Day 6 and 7, same thing. Day 8, same thing. Plus, I had the want to get things done around the house that I normally would slack off and not get done. Again, the point, extra energy, you'll need to use it, you'll find ways to use it. Day 9, 10, and 11, and today is day 12. I fucking love it. So however you managed to get me to buy it, I'm so glad you did. Thank you so much, SMR. It really changed me so far. Guys, this shit really works. Just try it. By the way, this is the reason I continue to relentlessly promote AG1. A lot of people get real fucking mad in the comments. Oh my God, Snake Oil Salmon's sold out. Oh my God, he's a scammer. This is fraud. But constantly, I'm pretty sure everyone making these comments is also currently short Tesla stock. I'm not particularly concerned about people having a negative perception, those folks suffering from small brain syndrome, still living in my bum's basement syndrome, etc., writing mean comments, claiming AG1's a scam or it doesn't work. I mean, bro, when I get feedback like this is what keeps me going. And remember, there is a 90-day money-back guarantee. There's nothing to lose here. Just try this stuff for a month, and if you don't get these results, get your money back. See, it's a literal no-brainer. It's an IQ test at this point in time. Testimonial after testimonial after testimonial like this. Get your money back if it doesn't work. Just try it for a month, and if it doesn't work, get your money back. Today's the day. It's finally time. Be like this guy who was a massive skeptic, but finally, after 1,000 promotions in a row, caved in, tried AG1, and has results like this. Head to athleticgreens.com/SMR or click the link in the pinned comment, and please, let me know how you're feeling in a few weeks' time. Now, if you'll excuse me, time to put my extra energy to good use. I'll be recording some more exclusive content for Patreon and my Twitter subscribers. So click the links in the pinned comment. See you over on Twitter and or Patreon, and don't forget to grab your AG1. Love ya.